Good evening and welcome to the Select Board meeting and welcome back to in-person meetings. We have a full room here tonight. We are going to be moving some things around and tabling some of the items that are on the agenda. We've got a lot of moving parts on some of these things, so I'll keep you up as we go. So, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 15th?
So moved. Second.
Any questions? All in favor? How about the minutes of June 30th?
So moved. Second.
Any questions? All in favor? All right. So we have 3 public hearings. 2 of them are going to be tabled tonight. We have rescheduled an emergency meeting for July 30th. That these businesses will be on then. They're just finishing up what they have to do, but we want to keep the business coming as far as Raymond goes. So can I have a motion to open public hearing on the request for special amusement for Cafe Sebago, and we're going to table Sebago Outfitters and the Bibliophile Bookshop for now.
So moved. Second.
Any questions? All in favor? All right. So the public, does anybody here from the public have any comments, questions regarding Cafe Sebago? Kyle, do you want to just get up and tell them what you're looking to do? Thanks. And who you are?
My name's Kyle Bancroft, Raymond native, owner of Cafe Sebago. I'm applying for a special amusement permit so I could have live entertainment acts and various karaoke, open mic night moving forward and stay within the guidelines of the town and requirements.
Okay. Is there anybody here that has any questions? No?
Yeah. Would you plan on any type of security of any kind or anybody to keep things in order?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, we Thursday and Friday we keep 2 doormen on, and then on Saturday we'll put 3 on. Our biggest priority is make sure everybody's having a good time, but is safe as well. We've had 0 issues down there. We keep kind of on the pace of what we need. If we need to increase with live entertainment and acts that come in, we can do that, but that's one of our most important issues, that we just keep an eye on everybody having a good time, staying safe as well. So,
Excellent.
Do you have a limit as to how many you can have in there?
right now there's been some discussion back and forth. There was supposed to be, when I applied the first time for my license, the fire marshal was supposed to issue me what my capacity was. I haven't seen that. I'm assuming that coronavirus and all that kind of held it up. But I actually don't have that information. So right now I'm still trying to figure that out myself.
You're on. Yeah, thank you. We happen to have the fire marshal here.
So Wayne Jones, the fire inspector. The original occupant load for Cafe Sebago is 48. Since last year, Kyle has removed some walls, and so we've done some remeasuring for what that capacity would be, but right now it's 48. Based on what we have on file right now, it's 48.
So the 48, you have the inside, but now you have, I believe, from what I saw on your plans from before, a fenced-in outside.
Yep.
Okay, so only 48. What about the outside? Does that include the inside-outside?
No, the outside would be its own occupant load for that enclosed area. It's not really, a closed off building, but that enclosed area needs to have exits for the amount of people that can be in that space. And currently with that enclosed area, Kyle's 2 exits meet that capacity.
Okay. How do you stop the 48 inside if they're all coming in from outside? Do you have like somebody watching that, or?
I mean, I'm there a lot of times. We're trying to keep an eye on the flow of people coming in and out. Again, we're in Raymond. We do see, it's been pretty good. We get a group of people in and they come in and enjoy themselves and then they move out. Generally, they're either out back or in. There isn't a lot of shifting between. So it's been easy to manage up until this point for sure.
Okay, all right, thanks. Anybody else have any questions? No?
I have just a couple things further. So Kyle's aware that this special amusement permit that he's asking for right now expires with his liquor license next month, so he needs to do this all over again.
Okay,
Because the liquor license is only good for the term, excuse me, the special amusement is only good for the term of the liquor license. And he's aware of that, so he's gotta do this process all over again.
all right. So Sue, if you can make sure that's in the queue for next month, next meeting. I don't know what the date is on that. I think our meeting's August 10th.
August 10th, yes.
Yeah, so if we can get on that, okay.
Yeah, and he, Kyle's aware of what he needs to do. Once he gets things, that he has to do completed, then he's gonna schedule a inspection with us so that he can, be
Do it
set to
again.
go for his liquor license.
Okay, so when you do that, if you can just put in another application for another, permit, then that way you're covered.
Yep.
Okay, all right. You did, good, thanks,
Good.
Wayne.
Yep.
All right, a motion to close public hearing?
Moved. Second.
All right, can I have a motion to go into executive session?
We have to close the public.
We just did.
Yeah.
Oh, vote, all in favor? Sorry. Okay, if we can have a motion, it's the A, consideration of private, property issue with town attorney.
So moved.
Second, you gotta read out why you.
Well, I was
go into
expecting one of you guys to do the
executive
motion.
session. I'll make a motion to go into executive session under section 405(6), probably D,
E.
E.
All right, can I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Okay, if you'll excuse us, we're gonna go back to the back room. Okay, can I have a motion?
Move to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, so under the new business, we're going to table Sebago Outfitters and the Bibliophile Bookshop until the 30th. And we are back on to the consideration of a special amusement permit.
Need a motion to table.
Oh,
I'll make a motion to table those two items.
Second?
all in favor? All right, now we're back on the consideration of a special amusement for Cafe Sebago.
Put it on the table. I'll move to approve the special amusement application.
Second.
Discussion. Give me-
Have a
second.
Yeah, I already got a second.
Yep.
I mean, Kyle,
Yes.
can you just step up? We're aware of some violations that you had, having some entertainment without a permit.
Yep,
And, we understand your email wasn't getting to you about.
sure.
And we appreciate that once you received the certified letter, you stopped.
Yep.
Came to the town.
Sure.
Those violations can be $500 each.
Absolutely.
We're trying to work with you here.
Mhm.
So we're not gonna fine you.
I appreciate that.
You're a new business. We want you to succeed, but you're gonna have to get some control over your area.
Okay.
You have an occupancy of 48 people.
Mhm.
That's hard to maintain that without, actually counting heads.
Sure.
So we're gonna look to you to enforce the 48 person limit right now.
Mhm.
We've had some complaints, about intoxicated people. You're coming up for your liquor license next month.
Sure.
I hope you can enforce that, and keep orderly conduct in your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Inside and outside.
Yeah. Right, inside and outside.
Yep.
I hope you train your staff to watch out for overindulgence and rowdy people.
Absolutely. I mean, I take it very serious. I'm there on a regular basis. I don't drink at my own establishment. I'm there nearly every night. I'll sit at the door at the end of the night, make sure that people are coming out. I can't count how many times a week that I'll give somebody a ride home, not because they probably couldn't, but probably because they shouldn't. Because that's, I know what I'm doing down there. I know how fragile that can be, and one incident can change that situation very quickly. So I'm very mindful of the situation. You know, I think that some of these complaints and some of these things are, you know, in a different nature than, let's say, caring about what's actually going on there. We've had some issues with some people around that were just personal issues that have come into my business that should have kind of kept separate, I believe. So I'm very cognizant of what goes on down there. I understand what it takes to keep that balance and make sure that I'm in check with you guys, with the state, and what I'm doing down there. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page and just give these people a place to have a little bit of entertainment within the town and have some fun, but we will keep it in check and keep
We're
our
all
finger
for
on the pulse.
fun. We just
Yeah.
we want everything to be safe.
Oh, 100%, as do I, because if I don't have my liquor license, that, you know, that really cuts into my business down there. So I know that we have to find that balance, make sure everybody's operating on where they need to be.
Okay, we appreciate it.
So, and thank you for coming right up once you did get the letter.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
emails and doing all the stuff that you need to do on that. And if you can just check on the ordinances, just to see if there's anything else that would apply to your business.
Sure.
So that way where you're up to speed on it too.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
It's been moved and seconded, so.
So you're gonna file an application
Mhm.
and you're gonna file, your other thing.
Yep.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in.
Good luck, Kai.
All right, next thing on here is a consideration of applications for the RSU 14 Board of Directors vacancy. I think I can speak on behalf of the whole board when we say we are really sorry about the loss of Janie Cummings, and she will be missed. So, and I also want to say a big thank you to, we have, I think, 5 on here, 5 applications for the board vacancy for the school board. So, what we can do tonight is if anybody wants to get up and say anything that's running, and if anybody here has any kind of questions from the applicants, we can start with, Char, do you want to start first? Sure. All right, you go up and say who you are, and Sarah's here. Hi.
Good evening. My name is Char Jewell, and I have been a lifelong resident of Raymond, born and raised. My grandparents moved here in the early 1950s, or maybe even the late 40s. So my roots are deep. My daughter, Phoebe, joined me. She wanted to see what this stuff was all about, so I'm really grateful that she was, and frankly surprised that a 14-year-old wanted to come to a selectmen's meeting, right? When I told her that I had put my name in for this open position, I expected her to be like, "Oh, Mom, really?" And she was like, "Mom, that's cool. Definitely you should do it." And so that surprised me again. 14-year-olds are always surprising people, right? So my reasoning, I've been thinking for years about becoming involved in the school board, and it's never seemed like the right time in my life. And so when I saw that there was a vacancy, and it is very sad, Janie was one of Phoebe's favorite teachers, and it's a big set of shoes to fill. Janie's been a mainstay of our community forever, and will have a long-lasting effect on all of us for a good reason. So my interest in the board is there's been a lot of turmoil the last couple years with education. Thankfully, RSU 14 seems has been fairly quiet compared to what you hear on the news with some other school districts across the nation. But I think at the end of the day, the goal should be to focus on the kids and the quality of their education and their experience at school, and how we as a board and as a community can support the kids in our schools to ensure that they all have equal education, equal opportunity education, and have a good experience that will prepare them for their next step beyond high school, whatever that might be. I am a graduate of Wyndham High School, and went to school at Jordan Small, and so it's kind of funny for me to go into schools now because they've changed so much, but yet they haven't changed at all. And I remember my experiences pretty well, considering how long ago they were, and I will refrain from saying how long ago those were. But some of the things that I remember, I would like to find out, so the good, the bad, in what's happening today and how it's changed and how it hasn't changed, and what should we get back to or what should we focus on for the future. And I'm in a place in my personal life and in my career that I'm able to spend the time to dedicate to the board and the time it takes to become involved and learn and see where we are today and where we need to go. And my experience of 25 plus years in human resources, dealing with not only employment issues, but also workers' comp and legal issues and compliance issues, I think would give me a leg up for this position to help the school board, and to be able to have come from a professional compliance legal background to be able to help make and frame decisions moving forward. So I would appreciate your consideration, and looking forward to hearing from everybody else. Thank you.
Does anybody have questions?
I don't have a question, I do have a statement.
Yes.
I know Shar from, on a personal level as well as a business level. I think she would be fantastic for the RSU. I think she will bring a different perspective than typically would be, and I definitely, my vote's for her, because she's what we need.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have, well, it sounds like you have really paid attention to the school board over the years. You do understand that you're going to be, if you're elected, you're going to be representing Raymond in that.
Yes.
And there are many financial considerations.
Oh,
that you will-
absolutely.
Okay, you do understand
Yes.
that. yeah.
So one of the things that is always, and I'll be brutally honest, that's frustrated me about the RSU is that we don't have equal representation on the board. And frankly, I don't think that's fair.
Yes.
And it's been a big frustration of mine back from when the RSU was formed. And it seems that we're kind of the redheaded stepchild that frankly pays a bigger part of the bills from my perspective.
Good.
Not that there isn't much I can do about it on a day-to-day basis, but I'm really good at stomping my feet and getting my voice heard. And as Lonnie can attest, because he sees me at work. So, yes, and from my career in human resources, especially at my current level, I'm heavily involved in budgeting and paying attention to trends and forecasting budgets and forecasting trends and making decisions based on those as part of my career, part of my job. So as far as the financial, I did go to college for accounting, so hopefully that helps as well.
Thank you.
Cool. Amy, has have questions? I thought you did.
Where were you, human resource, where did you work in human resource?
Well,
Sorry, can you go up there and tell who you are? Sorry.
Yeah.
You have to go to the microphone. That was my bad. Because you're on TV. Yeah, we are.
Where were you working with human resources?
Can you identify yourself, please?
I'm Joseph Wilmot.
Okay. From where?
I live right down the road on Webbs Mills Road.
All right, thanks.
What you gotta do, who you are, where
Yeah, that's all. Thanks. You're new to this.
You want an
too.
exact
Yeah.
address?
Yes.
Yeah.
26 Webbs Mills Road.
Okay.
Maine.
That works. Thanks. You can ask her.
so I started
you.
back in the day working in an answering service while I was going to University of Southern Maine. From that, I went to work for a company as a receptionist administrative assistant. That grew into my interest in human resources. So long story short, I worked at Barber Foods for 4 years with our 46 nationalities and having to manage all of those people that didn't speak English, and doing benefits orientation and HR orientation with people that don't speak English is really interesting. So I have a wide variety of experience with people of different nationalities. From there, I went to Oakhurst Dairy, was there for 4 years. And then from there, went to Barber Foods, for Cisco Food Service, and I was there for 10 years. And then went to work for a capital investment firm owned by Peter Anania and Associates. Worked there for about 3.5 years. Then I had this opportunity to work at Performance Food Service North Center, kind of land in my lap. I was really happy working for Peter, doing HR, but this opportunity came up and I took it, and I've been there for a little over 3 years. So it's, I've learned to how to download podcasts and have books read to me while I drive to Augusta every day. And then she looks at me and says, "Mom, you didn't know how to do that?" So, yeah. So that's my background. That's where I've worked.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
You understand that because of the way the vacancy occurred, the appointment would just be until the next election?
Correct.
And what would your intent be to then run in the next election?
Absolutely.
So Shar, just before Peter Levitt stands up and tells you that, a representative democracy is one person, one vote. Unfortunately, we only have 5,000 people in Raymond. Wyndham has probably 20,000.
Right.
We're not gonna change the makeup of that school committee.
Correct.
So, I mean, so how do you fight for the people of Raymond when it comes, you're gonna be in the minority all the time.
Absolutely.
And I'm very familiar with being the minority, believe me. How do you stand up and,
Well,
get your point across?
That's a great question. And I think working in human resources for 25 years, I am often found to not have the popular answer or the popular decision making. Operations folks tend to just want to grab the bull by the horns and maybe turn a blind eye to regulations and policies. And so that's given me experience of being able to bring forth a good, valid argument for my position, being prepared, having all of the answers before the questions are asked, doing my homework, so I'm never caught off guard with not knowing an answer to the question, and having a solid position with which to move forward from.
Anybody else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Sarah Davis, I don't see her tonight.
She was traveling, as was Madeline Fredden.
Yes. Sue McCarty? Sue, look, do you have Madeline's letter?
Yes, not on me, I have it in the email.
It isn't, okay. All right.
Hi, my name is Sue Accardi. I live on Deep Cove Road in Raymond. I'd like to commend Shar on a wonderful presentation, and I pretty much agree with most of the stuff that she has said, really, and I think she would be a great member of the RSU School Board. I applied. I didn't know how many people would apply, so I said, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. As you all know, I worked for the school system between Raymond and Wyndham for over 25 years. I started at the Jordan Small School when we were K through 6, worked there. And then I moved to Biddeford for a couple years, and then I went to Wyndham. And I worked at the middle school, the high school, and retired in 2015. And then since retiring, I've subbed for the nurses in the district. And I've pretty much worked in all the schools. I've worked in the clinics. I worked in the Jordan Small, I worked a lot in RES, and I've worked in all of the schools in Wyndham. So I've come to know the school system really well, working at the high school for 20 years for sure. And I've gotten to know many of the staff, the administrators, and a lot of students and families. And working as a school nurse, you work a lot with families and kids. So I felt that I might have something to offer the school board. I know the system somewhat, having worked there. I think that what my skill set would be, would be mostly knowing the system, being comfortable in the system, paying attention. I was on the board finance committee many years ago when we were still doing our budget for our school here. So I have worked with budgets in the past. But I think next year is going to be, it's going to be a challenge as well. I mean, this year was certainly a challenge. But I think they managed to get kids in person at schools, which was awesome, and it was a stress and strain, especially for the nurses. So I think next year is going to be hard too. So from my medical background, I feel like I would have something to offer in terms of where we're going. I mean, obviously this disease isn't going away. I think we're going to be challenged again next year. There's going to be tracking, there's going to be contact tracing, and hopefully, and decision-making all along the way. So I hope that I could offer some insight and some expertise in that. I guess that's it.
Anybody have questions for Sue?
No, good background.
I think the same question that Rolf asked. You know, this the 1 year, would you run again?
I
or
don't
would you-
know. I don't
Okay.
know. Okay.
All right, cool. All right, Sue, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike. Mike McClellan.
Well, good evening. I'm Mike McClellan. I live on Pismar Mountain Road in Raymond. I sadly am a New Yorker like Joe Bruno. But I have
Not
been,
a Yankees fan.
and I'm not a Yankees fan though, so I get that going for me. And it's kind of scary. It means I'm old, but I've lived much more than half my life in Raymond here. I've had 2 homes in Raymond, both ends, actually the Wyndham end and now on the Casco end. My wife Michelle is a school assistant superintendent. Actually just switched jobs. She'd been in Auburn for years and just moved to Cape Elizabeth, got recruited, which is kind of awesome. I'm a policy director for the Christian Civic League of Maine, so I'm very involved in government up in Maine, lobbying. And my kids Maggie and Pat went through the Raymond school system, although they didn't go to Wyndham. My wife, as a special educator, taught in a portable. And so when our kids' time was to go to middle school and high school, Wyndham had a lot of portables, and my wife just said, we're not doing that. So we were blessed to go through the Poland system. I do know the superintendent of Wyndham, as I've gone to church with him in the past, so I have a relationship with that. In my job, I am working on a grassroots effort to encourage people that haven't been involved before to get involved, to run for school board and run for select board or town council, wherever they live. And when I saw this opening, I was like, wow, I'm kind of preaching this. Maybe I should consider it myself. To jump back in time a little bit, I moved to Raymond in '87, I think. And in New York, it's very different. You can't get in within a mile of any kind of government in New York, at least back when I lived there. So coming to Raymond and hearing about town meetings and doing this was just really amazing and awesome, and I just was a naive New Yorker, if that makes sense. And I started to learn. My wife is amazing, and she started making suggestions like, you should volunteer in a kid's school. So my daughter first, and then my son went through 3 years with Janie Cummings. And I volunteered in her class, not every week for 3 years, but pretty much every week for 3 years. I was in her classroom and learned a lot about education, to the point that I subbed at times in different districts. Next, my wife said, you should go to a PTA meeting and see if you can help out. And I walked out of the meeting the president. And I remember tonight thinking about this. I actually chaired the first candidates debate. The PTA did the first one, then the Lions Club took it later. Continued on, so let's see, PTA. Then Joe Bruno started making moves. So I started following his footsteps. And actually, you moved, I think you moved to the legislature, if I remember right. And so I took your open seat for the school board, and I did 2 terms. And my first meeting on the school committee, David Boyce came in, who was the superintendent principal. I thought he was having a heart attack. And I said, David, what's going on? I came into the meeting. He said, Mike, we just got a building permit for, the state funding for what became Raymond Elementary School. And so in my 5 years that I was on the school committee, I was involved in that project, and then the year I was the chair of the committee, I ended up being the chair of the project, so I ended up being the person doing the public hearings and getting yelled at and stuff like that. But leading through that, David Boyce, of course, did all the work, but I was the one that stood up and took all the credit probably. And that included the building and the design, the curriculum, the ball fields, involved with all that. What an amazing process. And then for some reason, I ran for SelectBoard and got that. So I did, I think, 8 or 9 years, and I was of the thought that I'm not putting signs on lawns, so I'm done. I'm not doing any more. And actually, I'll mention in that time as a selectman, I actually was on the committee when we hired Don, which again was a long time ago, but you've been here a while, Don. We really appreciated that. So I thought I was done, and an opportunity came, I think, about 9 years later to run for the state representative. And our state rep had to step down, or he was moving away, so he had to leave. I got that seat. I served 6 years, and the 6-year, 2-year terms, I was always on 2 committees, but one of those 2 committees was always the education committee. And actually, we won some awards for bipartisanship up there. I was clearly the more conservative of the 13 people, but we worked really well together, got a lot of stuff done. I certainly worked hard and learned a lot about it, and did the 6 years there. When I finally, and I lost my 4th term, so when I was, in a sense, again, done with public service in my mind, I took a job as a policy director for the Christian Civic League, and found myself back up there kind of doing the same thing, except that I could go home at night and put it to bed and not really just stress on it all the time. So that's been kind of a blessing. So, you know, this opportunity came up. Again, Jenny was awesome to my kids, and so there's a great sadness, you know, for how that played out. But I'm pretty invigorated. I believe in service. I've done a lot, you know, like a lot of us have. I've coached, I've been on the recycling committee, I've done a lot of these things, but everybody does that, you know, and I turn it around and think how blessed I've been for Raymond, you know, to have us here. My family has been safe, my kids got a great education, my wife and I, you know, I can't imagine living somewhere else, and again, you know, I came from away, so I think what I have to offer is a couple things. When I talk to some people about this opportunity, you know, honestly, I haven't followed the school committee because my kids are 36 and 34 or something like that. So other than what's in the paper, but when I thought about it, I started talking to people. I heard a perception that this 9-person board pretty much was a rubber stamp for the school system, and I'm not saying that's true, but I'm saying that that's what people said to me. And I think I come to you, and I think I've worked with all of you, even Lonnie, who's not going to vote for me. He and I coached T-ball together.
We did.
And imagine my surprise 12 years later when you were coaching T-ball again.
Yeah.
You know I'm a communicator. You know, everywhere I've ever done something for this town, I write a blog and I tell people what I'm doing, what the agenda is, what the votes are. So that would be my intent, is to go to that committee. I don't have any issues with the school system. I know, as I think Char said, there's been issues. And I was actually on the first committee that looked at leading the school system. So I don't come with any biases like I'm out to get somebody, but I definitely go there as a Raymond citizen and as someone that will be representing Raymond. And, you know, to the question I think Char took and maybe Joe presented, what do you do when it's 60? And that would have been my answer too, is because of the population, it's just the way it is. It's going to always be 6-3. What do? You shine light on it. You know, if you're the representative for Raymond, you make sure people in Raymond know what's going on there. And again, good, bad, whatever. You shine light on it. I learned in the legislature, very late unfortunately, that, and I believe in God, I realized God didn't send me to fix things. He just sent me to stand up and say things, and, you know, say the truth and stand up for what I believe in. So I could not go to Wyndham and win 8-1 votes by myself, of course. What I can do is shine light on things, communicate with the people in Raymond, and things that all of you know I've done, because I'm probably the oldest person applying for this position. I've been accused of having high energy throughout my life, and even at age 61 that continues. So I'm actually kind of charged for this opportunity if I'm the person you choose. And Sue, I know I've known Sue forever, and she's awesome. And Char, you did a great job too. So you are blessed. You've got choices.
Yeah.
So thank you for the opportunity.
Okay.
Questions for Mike?
Mike,
Yeah.
you're guilty of having too much energy.
Yeah, my wife would not be as nice to say that. Or she'd say it a different way.
Would you run again? After this 1 year?
No, I'm not going to announce tonight, but I was thinking of running last time, and it just kind of got away from me because of work. I'm in a position with my job where I basically have like 2 busy months a year, and the rest of the year I'm actually very flexible. So yeah, I think yes, I would. I mean, short of a health issue or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I don't
Nope.
think.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
Thanks.
Yes,
Thanks,
thanks,
Mike.
Mike.
We also had Madeline Redmond, and she sent in a letter, as you guys all seen. I'm just going to read it for the public quick. Dear Board of Selectmen, I've lived in Raymond for 24 years and have 2 children attending Raymond Elementary School, 1st and 3rd grades. I am proud to live in a district that supports our public schools. With this board vacancy, I feel fortunate to have the opportunity to potentially participate in what I see as an important part of my civic duty. I have a sincere interest in public education in this district and learning how I can work together with other board members to help with the work of pursuing the board's mission and goals. If selected to serve on the board, I will listen to the concerns of the community and responsibly align them to the board's mission and goals to serve the students in the district foremost. In order to achieve my goals as a board member, I plan to 1, recognize the importance of working as a group, 2, commit the time, 3, gain knowledge about district policies, guidelines, needs, challenges, and strengths to improve the quality of our schools. 4, seek out development opportunities to ensure I am doing the best job and bring that knowledge back to the board. And 5, encourage parent participation. I would be honored to be part of the RSU 14 of directors. I realize tremendous amount of work it takes to maintain your mission, and I look forward to the chance to work alongside the current board of directors and community to continue the hard work of supporting our students, families, and educators and community members. So that's that one. I don't know if Sarah stuck one in here. Just gonna see.
She did give her
Sure.
application.
Yeah,
think
that's what I
popped
saw.
up on mine all the time.
That's what I thought too, and I didn't see a letter from her. But Sarah Davis, she was actually on the Raymond Rec, and they are currently working with the town. All right. So I thank everybody for putting in applications. I really do. This is great. This really is. So how do you guys want to proceed with this? Do you want to, I don't know if we have to discuss this in the public. Do we discuss it in the back? I don't know what the technical part of that is. What do you think? Aren't you the parliamentarian?
You can, well, I think you ought to discuss it out in public.
Okay. I just
agree
didn't,
with
yeah, and I didn't know honestly whether, so what's everybody feeling on this? I know everybody has looked over the applications. Is there anybody that we can rule out, or what's everybody's thoughts?
Mr. Levitt.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is an agenda item, public comment
Yes.
before we vote.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yep.
Peter Levitt, 2 Levitt Road. Thanks for this opportunity. There's no Raymond School Board. There's no Wyndham School Board. This is an application for the RSU, correct? We've had 2 occasions to withdraw from the RSU in less than a decade in this town. By my calculation, at the last vote, 65% of the vote of the voters of the town of Raymond said, we want an RSU board. So as I hear conversations about advocating for Raymond's students, I'm not hearing that correctly, because the responsibility of a school board member in an RSU is to advocate for all the students. That's my emphasis, all the students. And so I thank Selectman Bruno for continuing my civics instruction to some individuals that simply don't seem to get what representative government is. But that being said, My concern is, as reviewing, and I think we got some excellent applications here for the RSU, my emphasis, school board members. However, I came across one answer, and sometimes the simplest answers are the most revealing, to a question or an application from one of the applicants that basically stated in response to the application question about responsibilities, it was to serve Raymond and its people, to be an advocate for Raymond's best interest in the RSU organization. My emphasis on Raymond. And so that informs me that there's agendas that are being brought to this application that I believe have been well-defined as over the last decade, where the majority of the voters of the town of Raymond that take the time to vote have indicated they want us to go. I guess I'd just say one last thing for emphasis, as far as not continuing a civics lecture, but simply the fact that we were all hearing about, overturning a filibuster in the Senate takes 2/3. So I'm going to emphasize 65% of the voters of the town of Raymond want an RSU. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
All right. Anybody else want to speak? No? All right, back to the board. What do you guys want to do? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking there's a lot of good applicants,
Yes, indeed.
so it makes it very difficult.
Usually it's one or two and it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty cut and dry.
But unfortunately, there's only one position open.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to have Shar Jewell be the candidate for the RSU.
Anybody want to second that? Nope. Okay. Anybody else have a motion? Or anybody want to rule anybody else out?
I don't think that's.
No,
All right,
No.
no, I'm trying to figure out how you guys want to come to this.
no, they're all
I'll make
great
a motion
applicants.
for Mike McClellan to be appointed.
I'll second Mike.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Okay. Any more discussion on that or any other conversations? Okay. All right, so we have a motion for Mike, a second motion for Mike. Second. All right, no more discussion? All in favor? All right. Mike? Thank you. And thank you to everybody for coming out and putting in the
Thank you very
applications.
much.
Thank you, everybody.
And I hope that if there's more, if there is a vacancy,
Don't be discouraged.
yeah, please don't.
Absolutely
There's
don't.
plenty
Whoever-
of plenty of help we need. We need plenty of help.
We have
Your
more.
presentation was terrific, I thought.
It was.
Yeah.
All right, we have more applications.
But Phoebe, you don't really sound the way your mother said you sound, but she imitated you. You don't sound that way, do you? Mommy. Thank you very
All right,
much for
thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank you.
She would have been a good one. Very good.
New blood.
Yeah.
New blood.
Oh, that and plenty of energy too.
All right, recycling committee applications. We have Jessica Fay, Kathy Goslin, Susan Accardi, and Grace Levitt.
How many appointments are there?
It's a new committee,
So,
so I would say all of them, because we need a committee.
There wasn't a limit set or a number set, and now there are members.
I've been trying to get rid
there's
of
no
this
limit
thing.
on this committee.
No.
And this is the one Kevin Oliver is chairing?
No, Kevin Oliver is moved,
What?
yes. So he will not be on that committee, he has moved out of town,
Wow.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're on the committee, recycling committee for the select board?
Right.
Right, okay. So, I'm going to move something out of order here. If I can get Nathan to stand up. And it's on the recycling collection policy, so between all you guys, hold that thought. I say we make a motion
To
to,
accept all the members.
yeah, to accept all of them. Because we need a new committee, we need a strong committee checking this out.
Yeah.
That's a strong committee right there, too.
You're not
I'll
kidding,
so
that's
far.
really terrific, yeah.
Okay, so Joe made the motion.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Thank you guys again for
Thank
the.
you.
Thank
for
you.
Coming out to do it. And Nathan's gonna talk about,
On that committee, Nathan and I will be there as well, ex officio.
Thank you. I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah.
That happened.
yes, unfortunately, yeah, Kevin was gonna try and do that committee, but he cannot, moving out of town too. So you working together, you're gonna
He makes
put,
it difficult.
put together a policy, working on a policy.
For the recycling, do you want to table this trash and recycling policy until that gets going, or?
It's up to you.
I think, oh, if I may, I think it would make sense to hear what the committee has
Yeah.
to say
I
before
think it
we
would.
start looking at a policy.
Most of the policy that I have to present tonight is just operational policy stuff. I was gonna ask to table it anyway, because I wanted the transportation manager to see it before we did this, so maybe we just table it and.
I'll make a motion to table.
I mean, we have, you know, at this point, we have an existing policy.
No,
for-
we don't.
We don't.
That's why I'm here, we don't have one. What I'm running into for problems is it's more neighbors complaining about neighbors not putting the trash in trash barrels, and I don't have anything that says you have to put it in a trash barrel.
Well, the policy does say that.
Yeah,
We
I
don't
thought
have
it-
one though.
I thought it did.
We had one for a while and it got pulled out for,
It got pulled
one of
out
the
because I could
contracts.
find
Let's
no
table it.
record that the select board had ever approved it.
Okay.
Well, it's-
So, I mean,
It was definitely there.
I will agree, it used to be there, and I had
Didn't I
Sue
read
go
it in
digging for
my
it.
e-packet?
Because that's what he put in there.
That's what we put in.
That's what we
Ah.
put in. I
Oh,
found
okay.
the old policy, updated it with what's currently in the contract and with what Nathan wanted. Because the point of this was so Nathan had something he could hand to people who were fussing to say, this is the policy, this is what you have to go by.
It used to be you're only allowed two trash
trash
cans,
barrels,
32
right.
gallons, had to have your name on them.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
It's an administrative problem that we don't have a vote that we can find, so we're just,
Right.
Oh,
so that's
Well-
all, so we were just trying to.
So
Just
maybe
trying
we'll
to
go forward
correct
with
it.
this and we can
So that
adjust
we
it
had an
later
enforceable,
on.
an enforceable
Excuse me.
policy.
Thank you. So, in that case then, we can have the committee work on that.
Sure,
With
if
Nathan.
you'd like to do that. But I'm not sure it's going to intersect with, you know, the mission that was originally discussed for this committee, but it's, how big a problem is this for you, Nathan?
Well, it's starting to get we're starting to run into some bumps. I've got one individual that is willing to go tangle with his neighbors, I guess, and it is a problem in his area. They're putting trash bags out on the side of the road, the animals are getting into it, and so on and so forth.
all I gotta do is drive to work and I see it everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere.
Correct. And the trash guys are starting to wonder how many trash barrels they're supposed to be picking up, so it's slowly starting to become a problem.
Yeah, this is more of a hygiene and sanitation problem than a recycling problem, but anyhow.
It really exploded over this last year. We've had a lot of people that never were here in the winter that are staying here in the winter, and they're throwing their trash bags on top of snowbanks, and the plow trucks are hitting them, and
Oh.
I've got nowhere to, I can't force them to do anything.
well, what I would suggest then is we table it for the time being, let the recycling committee at least have a initial meeting,
Okay.
kind of set out some timelines in that, and then see if we need to do an interim approach to get something done there, or depending on what the timeline's gonna be on that, then we
Okay.
can have more of a consolidated approach.
I know we used to have a policy because we
Yeah.
used to have to put
Right.
orange stickers on the
Yeah.
trash barrels.
Yeah.
Just can't find the
It's
vote.
in the contract, and there was a policy written, I just couldn't find any record that the select board had ever approved the policy.
Wow.
All right, so we need a motion to,
I'll
I'll
move
make a
to-
motion to table.
Second.
okay. All in favor? All
Thank
right,
you.
so then Rolf is gonna be the chair of that committee?
No. not
Or on that
necessarily.
board to get everybody there?
I'll be on that committee, I'll not necessarily be the chair.
No, but I mean as far as organizing them to get them together and then they can pick chair from there. We'll send out an email.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so Kathy, Goslin, and Susan and Grace and stuff, you'll get an email. Okay, great, thanks. Thank you, Joe. All right, the comprehensive plan. All right. So, this was asked to be put on a thing, which I think is a good idea. I think that we need to, who's got the history? I just lost everything.
I got it right here. You can look at mine.
Well, you can get on a guest Wi-Fi
Go-
and get it
go.
back from your link.
Right, go back to the RSU guest, and that gets you in, versus the town one that doesn't
I'm-
work.
Right.
Yeah, wow, something
I mean,
just.
it works, but
All right, I'm sorry.
You need
All right,
grids.
so the comprehensive plan committee, who's got some history on that one from 2003? And I feel we need to start talking about getting a committee together to look at doing it again.
So you've got a couple issues here. The first thing you would need to do would be to form a comprehensive plan committee. And so, similar to what we've been doing tonight, we need to put the call out there, get applications, and then the next meeting start to form that. But if we look at when the last time it was done, obviously a lot of people that worked on that are either no longer in town or no longer around. So it's going to require some work there, but it'd be a good idea. I do believe the comprehensive plan is on the website, so it would be a good idea for people that have an interest on it to take a look at that to get somewhat of a grounding in what was done there, so they can kind of see what the total impact or what the total requirement's going to be, because this is not, when it was done the last time, it was not a quick thing. It was a very methodical and very well put together plan, and the same approach would have to get done. At the same time, we'd have to look a little bit and see what resources are going to be available to us from the state, because there was a lot of assistance we had from the state when that was done the last time from the planning commission and things like that. So we can kind of gel together an overall plan there. But the big thing is, yep.
Ralph, I don't think there is a state planning office anymore. I think it's been abolished.
Well, I mean, and that's, the question is what assistance is going to be available from the
Right,
state
from the
as
state,
far as,
right.
so that's some work that we can have Don look into and things like that. But, it's one of those that it's going to require a lot of hands.
I mean, is this something that Sebago Technics can help us with?
I'm sure they probably can.
Well, I'm sure there are people at Sebago Technics that can provide assistance. There are probably, planning consultants available. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna have to be an appropriation of funds to do this,
Mhm.
which is probably not gonna happen until the next town meeting, I would guess.
Start putting money.
Right,
in
but
for
there's,
it.
you're familiar with my term, all deliberate municipal speed. There's time to get the committee up and running. There's time to, I guess, to get established and develop a plan. Probably by the time you do all of that, you'll be at town meeting.
So when do you
I'm
think
sorry.
we start to ask for applicants?
Well, I think, maybe the first step would be to contact the state, see what the present state of comprehensive planning is, come back with a plan maybe in a meeting or two, and then, we could talk about soliciting applications if you decide you want to move forward. And it is a thing, it's still a thing, it's whether the state requires it or not, it's something that towns still do. And, if you want to have a chance of ending up, someplace that you think the town ought to be in the future. To have a plan to get there is the key. And so, I think it's a very good, exercise for us to undertake. And so you want to analyze. I think one of the first things you're going to do is analyze the last plan and see how that worked out. See what we accomplished, what we didn't accomplish, and so I think there's a lot of merit in this whole thing. And so maybe maybe it's check with the state. See the state of where comprehensive planning is these days. Get some feedback on that. Have a discussion. Decide to form a committee. Take a look at the last plan and come up with a program and plan to move forward on the new one. And then it's going to be months probably before you'd even need a consultant. So maybe you don't need an appropriation for a while.
Yeah, probably need one at next town meeting. But,
Yeah, maybe.
But I mean, I look at this as same as a strategic plan for a business. Where do you want to go? What are your goals?
That's what it is. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep, please, thanks.
Peter Levitt, 2 Levitt Road. So, yeah, I happen to know that Joe is right. There is no state planning anymore. That fell through the cracks a while ago with a change in government in Augusta. But anyway, the situation is such that, if I'm not mistaken, with a comprehensive plan, that's tied to so many things, like Zoning Board of Appeals, the Planning Board, revaluation. Where are we going? What are we doing as far as expanding broadband or telephone access? I remember that we went through something a few years back where the town decided at town meeting to go for a cell tower because there was some financial advantages to the town to doing that and collaborating or partnering with a for-profit entity. And then shortly after that, the protected elevations in the town of Raymond that had been specified in the 2003 comprehensive plan were voted no longer to be protected because that cell tower had to go up on top of those high spots. As I recall, the town never, the third-party entity, the for-profit entity, never fulfilled their obligation to build it. They backed out and decided not to do it, so the town really didn't get anything. Unfortunately, the comprehensive plan ordinance was changed such that those vista views were no longer protected in the town. And through the effort of some citizens, we brought it back to the town and got those vista views protections reinstated. So there's a lot of implications for a comprehensive plan. And looking at, I agree with Joe, as far as a business plan for the town, it affects so many other things. And so the funding, I don't know that you're going to find a whole lot in the state right now for the funding of it. So we should be prepared to make some expenditures in that area. And I don't think it would be too soon to start looking for forming a committee on this. Thanks.
Anybody else? All right. You want to how do you want to move with this?
I think we have Sue post the openings. Come back at the next. I'd even give it a month and a half and come back in September with. See if we have any applicants.
Okay.
In the meantime, we can look and see what resources there might be available.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we don't need a motion on that, do we?
No.
All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. All right, next one up, recreational marijuana. Hold on a second. Consideration of ordinance change to allow recreational marijuana. Is Sean Brody here?
Good evening, Sean Brody, CEO of B&B Cultivation. How you guys doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
What's your address?
277 Burnham Road.
In Raymond?
No, that's where we live, 1259 Roosevelt Trail would be
Okay.
the address for the business.
Okay. All right, so you sent a letter in, we didn't get it Monday morning. So you're looking for,
So basically, we're looking to open up a recreational store next to the current medical storefront that you guys are aware of. We're looking to open up a very friendly, very professional, safe recreational store, which sells recreational cannabis to people over the age of 21.
okay,
Does there need to be an ordinance change?
there actually needs to be an ordinance.
Yes.
Because you have to opt in, and we have not opted in.
Okay.
So right now,
So you'd have to have a public hearing.
yes,
That's right.
and it also has to
You'd have to go through a couple steps. We'd first have to go to planning board to look at ordinances.
Right.
Ordinances would have to get drafted. Those would then have to go to public hearings. And then ultimately, it would have to go to, because it's an ordinance, it would have to go to town meeting.
Right.
So there's so many different questions too as to what do we want in the town of Raymond.
Right. At the end of the day, we're basically looking for pre-approval, basically the approval from the town of Raymond to give us the go-ahead to really start getting the licensing and to open up the storefront. Ultimately, it comes down to getting the approval of the town, which is kind of why we're here today. Is we're looking for pre-approval. Obviously, there's a process, planning board changing the ordinance, but we're looking to work with the town. I've been open for almost 4 years, as you guys know. Very clean, very professional storefront, no issues with the town. We follow all rules and regulations. As you guys know, recreational was approved right next door in Wyndham. There's probably about a dozen shops. It's approved in Bridgeton and Freiburg. Raymond has not opted in yet. If you guys recall, we were here, I believe it was March last year, and we basically said you guys wanted to table it for 90 days until after recreational was approved. So basically it was approved in, I believe, January of this year. It was approved by the state. It's everywhere. It's not going away. It brings tremendous value to patients, healthcare, not to mention revenue resources into the town. So I think Raymond has really missed out on that, and we're looking to be the first recreational storefront to open up in Raymond with the town's approval.
I know Wyndham only has 2 because they had a lottery. So
Sure.
I think you just said that there was 6, and I don't think I think there's only 2 for recreational.
There's a lot in
Yeah.
the stages of being open, but
Right,
they've
exactly.
approved it, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We can't give pre-approval because there's a process.
Sure,
and-
right,
Right,
right.
and if we give you pre-approval, then everybody else that wants to come in and do it, we've got to give them pre-approval also.
Of course, of course.
So like Rolf says it is a process that we have to do, and we have to decide as a board, do we want to opt in?
Right.
Or do we want to continue to not opt in, or what do we want to do as a
And
board?
one thing I would mention too is, if you guys decide to opt in, you don't have to just opt in and then allow it to be the Wild West, right? Obviously, Raymond's a very small community. You guys see how many of these cannabis shops, whether it be medical or recreational, they're everywhere. In Wyndham, there's probably over a dozen medical cannabis shops, right? There's a couple recreational stores with, I'm sure, a bunch more pending there. So I could see how Raymond wouldn't want it to be overcrowded. So we could allow basically, 1 or 2 shops to open up, as an example, right?
Well, and that's what we would have to consider is do we want to do a lottery like Wyndham did? How many do we want in the town? We haven't really even discussed it yet and thought about it. Because there is a lot of options.
Right.
And I agree, Raymond is small, but it depends you want to do. Do you guys want to think about this and figure out how we want to proceed?
I'm willing to go down the road of send it to planning board and have them start writing ordinances, and eventually the town's gonna have to vote on it. But yeah, look.
It's not going away.
And
It's
right,
the
it's
way,
not going
it's
away.
the way of life to some
I
degree.
mean, there was just a bill introduced in the Senate to make it legal nationally. Look, as a pharmacist, I've studied a lot of pharmacology, kind of know about this stuff.
Sure.
People want to use it. I don't have a problem with it. And if we're gonna do it, there ought to be competition. I don't think you go, you're the winner, and you clean up. I don't like that at all. I think you make it competitive, and and whoever wins, as far as being the best customer service, that's gonna succeed. Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Right.
But I'm not willing to say you are the chosen one.
Of course, right.
Yeah, so,
Ditto.
yeah.
Makes
I-
total
Right.
sense.
I would go on the record to saying I don't want recreational in town, but I'm one person. So
No, you're,
I'm
you're two.
And there's one thing I
I
also
don't
want
wanna
to say
see
too,
it.
guys. When it comes to recreational and medical cannabis, obviously there's very different laws, rules, and regulations, but at the end of the day, it's the exact same product.
Right.
Right next door, you know, when we open up the rec store, hopefully, we'd be selling cannabis, and we're already selling cannabis. And it's everywhere around us. At this point, Raymond is just way behind the power curve. They bring an enormous amount of business to the town, economic value, tax revenue back into the towns. And I can say personally, I'd love to get back to the town of Raymond directly. Take some of those profits. I'm not sure how that works, but we'd love to give back to the town in a big way. I hope the town can opt to do this quickly. I don't want this really, I hope it cannot be a thing that's really drawn out, because at the end of the day, federal legalization could happen this year. So I just don't want Raymond to miss out
Well,
on everything that
I
it can
mean,
be.
there is no speed here. This is gonna take a while. This is not like next week. This is gonna be months in the making.
Right. Doesn't have to take that long though, if that's what we want, right?
Well, I mean.
Oh, it does, because it has to go to the town meeting.
Sure,
If
right.
it's done
Well,
by the
that's got
planning
a planning board,
board, yeah.
Right.
write an ordinance.
Of course.
That's
Yes.
gonna take legal to get involved. This is a long process, so.
I'm aware with the administrative.
Yeah.
And we are way
Right.
behind.
Way
We-
behind.
We tabled it, and I was outvoted the
Right.
last time this came up, because
Sure.
again, it's here.
Right.
Jump on the curve.
Yep.
Or watch it go by, and we watched it go by.
Right.
I'd
know,
watch
so-
it- I'd like to watch it go by again.
So-
Your two eyes
I'm-
and my two eyes see it differently.
I mean.
No, I'm that way too,
And I
but,
respect yours too,
but-
so,
and you respect mine too, right?
of course I do.
Just Sam's.
No, so, no, and I guess my question would be, I have a daycare. And I know all the time, people are driving by and the kids would go, oh, there's a skunk smell. Yeah, there's a skunk smell, is what we say, is what it is. But is there regulation as far as, and excuse my ignorance on this, is just people driving and smoking, and if they get stopped or they cause an accident, that type of stuff?
Yeah, that'd be the same as a DUI if
Right.
you're caught.
So
They're
they're,
not allowed to be smoking in
High
their
in
car,
cannabis,
but they
yeah.
do.
Right, and the skunks
Right, just
tell
like
me, I'm
you're
not
not
gonna tell you
supposed
that.
to-
I
Not supposed
use
to
that
drink.
because I'm
Right.
talking to 2, 3, and
Sure,
4.
sure.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I can tell you, like our storefront, you walk in, you literally can't even smell cannabis.
That is not
Right.
meant to be an insult. I swear to God it wasn't, but when they're outside, they're
Right.
saying, oh, yeah, so,
Sure.
sorry,
Right.
yeah.
Well, as you guys know, medical cannabis, recreational cannabis in general has saved so many lives and helped so many people. We personally, my wife and I personally see on a daily basis, patients come in, try the stuff, and it changes their whole lives. And there's a lot of people that they don't want to get their med card for various reasons. I know a lot of veterans don't want to get the medical card, so the recreational market really just opens it up to anybody who just wants to try it. It's a lot easier to get it, more expensive, but at the end of the day, it's all the same thing, and we're really just trying to help people. And that's really what cannabis does, and I don't think anybody can argue that benefits of the medicinal values.
And I don't argue against this again. So that's just my one opinion. So,
As opposed to pharmaceuticals, right, that you take and you get symptoms upon symptoms and you get sick from that and
Okay.
take more stuff, right?
As I said, I'm a pharmacist.
Right, so you know.
I've got lots of education behind me.
ouch.
Don't
Right.
go down that road, because if we're gonna argue medical cannabis.
Sure.
It's easy for me to argue
Right.
that it has no value.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna move this conversation along. So, like,
But I have no problem with people using it,
Sure.
right.
just so you know. Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
Peter. To the,
Let's hear it, Peter.
He's on tonight.
he is on today. He misses these meetings. Look at him.
I'm a big market forces guy, and I think I spoke at one of the last meetings about the fact that it's, you can try and regulate or control growth or whatever you want to call it, but generally, in my experience, it comes down to the market. So, once again, I find myself in agreement with Selectman Bruno. If
That's 3 times tonight.
I know it.
Peter.
I know. We're
That's
not-
more than you have done in 15
Yeah,
years.
yeah, you aren't going to get me to agree on the Yankees. Don't worry about that. But the bottom line is that it's a market forces. So if there's, you can't restrict competition under our the system of capitalism, generally speaking, unless it's central main power or something like that. But the bottom line is, if there's 12 in town this year, I guarantee you there won't be 12 in town the year after. Thanks.
I totally agree with that, and I do think that this is something that is out of the ordinary, and it is something that we, for whatever reason, neglected to jump on when the ride came by us, and I think that whatever we can do to speed it up, I think that that's valuable. I think it's something that we should be looking at. We shouldn't be doing it at the typical municipal speed. It needs to be done and done as quick as it can, but as thorough as it can as well, because I'm not into it being just a free-for-all neither. But I do believe in capitalism, and if the business doesn't have good quality, if the business doesn't have good customer service, if the business doesn't have the availability per se, then they'll go out of business, and that's the way I believe in business, and that's the way it should be. So on a lottery piece, I understand the reasoning, because we don't want every, it'll
Every
be
corner,
every, right. We
Kind of
don't
like
want
the
that.
CVS and the Walgreens in Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, just like that. But on the same token, we do need to do it, quicker than just letting it go.
Well, I mean, there's only so much speed you can move along.
I agree with you there too. And again, I don't want speed to shadow thorough.
Right.
We want it to be done right, and maybe we were behind, but when we got into the game, it was done correctly. As correctly as we can see it, as the
Right.
town people, because the town is the people that should be making that
Making the
decision, not
final
me,
decision.
not any of
Yeah.
us.
Absolutely.
Right,
We're one
again,
of
we're
6
one,
or 7.
we're one vote. We're,
Exactly.
exactly. Who regulates the stores?
State.
The state does?
State.
Okay.
They have a whole office just
Just for
regulate.
that?
Yeah.
And do you know who it is? It's DHS. Did you know that? It's DHS, isn't it? Department of Human Services?
No.
Somebody had told me that.
No, it's out of the Department of Administrative Financial Services.
Really?
There's a whole marijuana office.
Okay. No, somebody called me and told me someone had a complaint to call. That's why I was surprised. Like DHS has their fingers in everything there. So. All right.
I'll make a motion to send recreational marijuana to the planning board.
Second.
With what
With
guidance?
the aim
With-
of
With what guidance?
setting ordinances, getting it ready for how many stores to allow or have no limit, whether, and then eventually getting to town meeting for a vote.
Second.
Do we keep it, those stores in a, I'm really sounding stupid on these things tonight. In the commercial district? Or can someone have like
That could be
a,
part of the ordinance.
That's part of what,
Right.
that's part of what.
That's part of
the-
what the planning
that's
board
part of
needs
what they
to
have to look.
decide.
yep, okay. Where? All
But
right.
they're, I would think they're going to look for some guidance from us as to what are we thinking? Are we thinking it should be just in the commercial zone? It should be, because
I want to see people selling it out of their garage.
And they will if we don't do that.
Right.
Well, and they mentioned that someone like off their back deck or whatever, and have people, yeah, so.
If I would, I mean, you have home-based and, it'd be a retail store, it'd be a retail store. There's one comment I could make, you wouldn't want to have it be unlimited. Perfect example, Wyndham did that with the medical, and there's like over 12 different shops there. I don't think Raymond needs, over 12 different rec stores. It's very small.
If they're surviving as a business, I don't think we have a say in whether they survive or not.
I agree.
Yeah, you want to
Peter just
invest
said, yeah.
whatever amount of money to open a store, and it fails, that's on you, it's
Sure.
not on the town.
Sure.
Peter just said we can't limit them, so, and I know
no, but
Wyndham
what you
did,
can,
yeah.
what you can limit is what zones.
Where it's
Where- yeah,
allowed.
right.
What
Right.
zones, which then gets into,
Small school necessarily, but that would be
Well,
a
I
zoning
think,
ordinance.
I think the
Right.
state doesn't allow that anyway, so.
So do we want to say as a board that we want to keep it in the commercial zone? And not in the rural
Yeah.
residential, not in the village, not in,
Shouldn't we leave, I mean, and I understand that piece, and I do agree with that piece, but I almost think we shouldn't give them any guidelines. Let them be creative and let them, let them do their job without their hands tied.
Well,
And then from
other than
there.
the fact that they have, on other things, they've come back and asked.
Well, I think you
asked
give
for
them some
guidance,
guidance.
asked for some guidance, you know, I
Yes.
mean.
Not that we don't want to give it to them, but not that they
but I
want
mean,
their
you know,
hands tied.
I mean, I would, you know, I mean, if it did go forward, I would not want to see it in the residential zone.
No,
I would
I
want,
agree.
I would, you
Just
know, and I would
commercial
think
only.
if we're going to say, if we're going to send it to them to look at, we would say that,
Just go
you
through
know,
the process,
one of the,
that's
one of the
all. Whatever
provisos
has
is
to
it
be
would be
done.
in the commercial zone.
Commercial zone.
Yeah, I don't think we need to approve anything today.
Another comment I'll make
To go to the board.
No, it has to start.
Has to start here.
Yeah, you have to send it to the planning board to start writing an ordinance.
And it's been seconded.
Yeah.
So
I know it's
now
still
we're
in
in
discussion, yeah, so.
And she's stalling the inevitable.
No, there's still comments and questions.
I was just going to say, what it comes down to is each town can elect to do retail. There's one front of it. Like we're trying to get a retail-only store, no cultivation. So there's like 4 different categories. It's retail, cultivation, and then I think it's manufacturing. I believe there's one more, I can't think of it, but there's different categories a town can opt in on. What we're trying to do is just a recreational retail-only store, no cultivation. So a town can allow just retail, they can do just cultivation, they can do everything. Wyndham did everything, I believe.
Don't we
so-
have cultivation in Raymond right now?
Medical,
Right.
medical. I'm actually not sure about that in Raymond. I'm not sure if there's
I
any
think we
ordinance
do.
for medical. Okay.
Yeah, we
Right.
do.
So, that's something that we can put to the planning board to say, take a look at all 4 of them, see what's best in the overall plan for Raymond.
We appreciate the consideration.
Was there an amendment to the motion, or?
No, we're still on that motion that he says I'm stalling on.
No, the motion was to send it to the planning board.
Right, the motion was to send to the planning board. The other stuff is just
All
guidance.
discussion.
Put that into the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, see? That'll take a while.
That'll take 5 years.
No, after.
All right, so are we all in agreement if we send it to the planning board as far as commercial only? And they're gonna figure out how many stores?
I think you send it to them. Here's what we want. We want a retail
Well, that's what I'm saying.
marijuana
Yep.
ordinance. We would like you to look at
You
whether
write
it's
this down.
solely in the commercial zone, whether we allow cultivation, whether we allow, what's the other one? Oh,
I believe manufacturing.
And there's one more you said.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think there's 4 of them also, I can't remember.
Yeah, it might be in social clubs maybe.
What is it, I'm sorry?
Silviculture?
What was it?
Silviculture?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
That's a growing.
I mean, I know the main 3 is retail, cultivation, and manufacturing.
So,
So once they do their homework, they bring it back to us and ask us more questions?
no, it's theirs at that point.
All right. I don't want it in residential, that's just me.
Well, no, but, yeah.
I
And
don't
just
think
if we
any of
do,
us do.
I don't think any,
No.
most
So
people
we
would
can add that
not
in
want
there.
it in residential.
okay, so we can put it in the
Would be my
commercial.
guess, that's just a guess.
So
on my
retail
part.
marijuana ordinance in the commercial district. Anything else you want to add on that?
No, it's gonna, I mean, it's gonna have to go through public hearings and whatnot.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're gonna get feedback from the community on
Right.
what additional they
When
would.
it goes to the public hearing,
Okay.
after they write the ordinance.
I expect they'll look at ordinances from other towns
other
and so
towns.
forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so there's motion, all in favor? Against? Sorry, I'm gonna stick to my guns, take 3 to 2, it goes, the ordinance, all right?
Thank you very much.
All right. The American Rescue Plan Act, I think it's Kathy? Make sure I get everything, there's a lot to cover in there.
I believe you've skipped H, Madam Chair.
Which one is H? Because-
Update on auto mill, recycler.
Oh, that wasn't on, sorry, that wasn't on this big one. All right, so wait a minute, we did that one, we did recycling, comprehensive plan.
Oh,
All right.
American Rescue Plan is not.
No, it's
That's
a,
in the e-packet, but it's, the agenda has.
yeah, sorry,
update on-
Kathy, I'm sorry, I'm gonna kick you back out of here a second. Alex, is update on auto mill recyclers? It's not on this one, that's why I was looking at the big one.
Well, it's 'cause it's just an
Yeah.
update. It's an update, so it wouldn't be in the e-packet.
Okay,
Good evening.
hi.
Alex, code officer for the town. At the last meeting, you guys approved the auto mill recyclers license, and there was some question on the number of cars they were allowed to have on the lot. So you wanted me to do a little bit of research on what that number was, because they believed it was 20 cars for recycling, salvage, and 10 cars for retail, for sale on the property. So it took a little bit of work. I thought it was actually a condition from the ZBA, but it actually wasn't. It actually came about when they applied for the recycler's license with you guys in, I believe, August of 2019. On the application, they actually asked for, well, I'll read it. They said, "We would like to have up to 20 vehicles at our location. That includes vehicles for sale and vehicles waiting to be looked at." So the number came from them. So there was no 20 plus 10, it was 20. That was approved by the select board in August of 2019, I believe. So I did stop by this afternoon or this evening before the meeting, and they have about 40 cars there right now. So that's where we're at.
Did we just
Um,
speak to them last week?
Somebody gave them a warning that said, "We won't be so nice to you next time if you're over," and this is the second time that you have stopped down there, that they have been over on it, and we made sure that we had told her on
Yeah.
the thing to stay within your numbers. Maybe, I think it was you, Lonnie, that says, "We won't be so nice next time, stay within your numbers."
Right.
So now they're really over.
Yeah, they've gone up.
And that's not, that's on, the 20 numbers is on what we approved, but they're thinking that they're supposed to have 30, and we're still over.
They're still at 40.
And this is the second or third time?
It's every time I've been down there, they've been well over
'Cause
20. Yeah. Except for the first time this past winter in January when I went down and there was probably 10, but since then it's been over 20.
What options do we have now?
Well, the approval from you guys was up to 20 cars. So technically they're in violation of the recycler's license from the town. So we could send them a notice of violation, let them know that they have to stay under that 20. And see where that goes. If they respond to that, then the situation's resolved. If they don't, then we can try and go further with enforcement action.
You already told them publicly when you went down before the last meeting that they were over, so that's kind of like, to me, you've already been on notice.
Yeah.
And I know that you
Couple of
mentioned
times.
it another time that you told them to get it down. So this is like number 3?
But we have not,
Yep, no, I understand.
we have not
Yep.
issued a written
Notice,
notice.
right.
Correct.
So I would say that is the first order of
Yep.
business, is it issue the written notice of violation. Because otherwise, you're into, it's he said, she said.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we can
So
go ahead and do that.
that's- So we
Will
do.
will
we-
you hand deliver that to them?
I can, if you'd
I
like.
think-
Yeah, that would be.
I think that
We're
would-
required to
Good
send
idea.
it,
Registered
through
mail.
certified mail and
Yeah.
first
Okay.
class.
Yeah.
Yes.
but
Then we
can
have
do
a
that as
record
well.
of it.
Because
Nope.
ultimately, the only stick that exists is pulling the license.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
would prefer to
Keep the business
see
going.
if we can keep the business going, but make sure they're adhering to what they're supposed to. So, the written notice is the first order of business.
Yep. Sounds good to me. We do that.
I don't think you need a motion. No.
Is there any fines with it, or you just pull their license?
Well, if we send them a notice of violation, there's standard fine language that goes along with that, written by statute. So if it were to go beyond just a standard notice of violation and you guys decide to actually take action against them, if we bring that to court, then there would be fines we could assess to them. But I don't really see that being the outcome here.
No.
I think there's other avenues we could go before court.
No, I don't want to go to court either. I just, yeah,
Yeah.
but, okay, nope, thanks. All right. Update on the Shaker Woods project.
Yeah, while I'm here. I did meet with Jared a couple of weeks ago. He's very busy right now working, so he works nights. He did tell me that he's spent a significant amount of his summer so far cleaning up his yard. Where we've left it is Kathy, Wayne, and myself will go down and do a inspection again with him like we had been doing before he went back to work. And we'll take a look and see where he's at. He had made good progress on the inside of the house, but wasn't really 100% there. So we're hoping he's made a little bit more progress there. And we tasked him initially with focusing on basically the perimeter of the house, getting that cleaned up. We're getting pretty close to the deadline that you guys had set for the junkyard. So obviously we're hoping for, I don't want to say a miracle, but last time we were down there, which was probably spring, I'd say April or probably May, we weren't close anywhere near where we need to be. So
Is the house habitable?
it's a significant improvement from where it was
I mean,
when we
is
first
it a
went.
health hazard? I mean, there are neighbors there.
It was,
Yep.
neighbors?
not anymore. Oh.
So where it is currently, we've allowed them to stay in the house because they spent a significant amount of time and money cleaning up and repairing the garage to live in, to the point of where we were comfortable with them continuing to stay there while they fixed everything else.
Joe wasn't on the board at the time. I mean, you guys had a list of electrical
I know who it is.
and stuff like that, so they've gave them this, we want it safe for them.
Are there still 4 people living there? Just
And then there was other residents that were living in the mobile homes that were on, one's a mobile home, one's a trailer, I believe, right?
Trailer's not habitable, there's one person that lives in the trailer,
Right.
and that's in okay shape.
They also make sure that the road's clear so they can get something
Yeah.
up there, yep.
The order, I believe, gave them until October to clean up the junkyard. So
So you guys don't know right now what the outside or anything looks like, okay?
yeah, I mean, we don't know for sure. I have a good idea of probably what it looks like, but we'll set up a time in the next couple of weeks to go out and look at that and see where we're at, and probably take some pictures for the August meeting so we can give you a visual of where we're at a couple months out.
Yeah, if we can get an update on August, just so you can put that on there, thanks.
Yeah.
And then that way, because if it's been since like April, May, we've got, yeah, okay. All right, thanks, Alex.
Yep.
All right, now, Kathy,
Carry forward amount.
why? I
Because
quit,
it's not-
I'm done, I'm
It's
out here.
because it's not in the e-packet. I think
All right, all right, Alex Aponte, sorry Kathy. Sorry, sit back.
Alex,
I'm not really Alex, but it's my account, and he told me to do it. I do what I'm told. I'm asking to carry forward some money from my operating budget, put it into CIP paving. We had a really light winter, as we all know, and I'm looking to be about 161,000 under budget. And I'd like to carry 100,000 over to my CIP paving account out of that.
So all the bills are paid right through the end
That'll
of
leave
June?
61,000 left in my account to
Nice.
carry us through, and I'm way under that. I think I approved of a couple of $1,000s today of last year's budget.
I'll make a motion to carry forward funds.
Last time you guys got together, you and Rolf bought him a couple new trucks at one of our budget meetings.
I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we have a motion on the table and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Thanks, Alex.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for hanging around, Alex. Nice job.
Thank you.
Now you can get.
All right, Kathy's not gonna stand up on this one, 'cause she's gonna know I'm gonna say, sit down again. Go ahead, Kathy. My two things are really,
Look over your shoulder here.
Kathy Goslin, 11 Eagles View Drive, also the Deputy Chief of the Fire Rescue Department. Here to talk about ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act. This has come out of monies from the federal government. The town of Raymond is going to be eligible for about $500,000 from the state of Maine in the ARPA plan. We're also going to be eligible for some grant monies for Cumberland County. That amount will be determined. Cumberland County has about $770,000 that they will give out to the local towns. The dates of the grant, and Alex just left. I was going to ask, Dawn, do you know if we've seen any of this money come in yet?
The county has seen their money come in, some of it, I think about half, and they're going to get the second piece of it shortly, I believe.
Okay. Because according to the federal mandates that they wrote, that they were going to give the money to the state of Maine in May, and then the state had 30 days to get it out to the communities. The dates of the grant was 7/31/21, and it's now been extended, so it's going to go till December 2026. So they've extended the time frame that we can use this. The eligible categories for the grant uses, and they've been very specific on this. You can use it for infrastructure, water, sewage, or high-speed internet. You can use it to aid to impacted industries due to the pandemic. Tourism, travel, hospitality, and reopening those businesses are in there. There's also, you can help your small community businesses in that. Premium pay for workers performing essential work during COVID. They've put that in there. They can do it as an hourly increase, or you can do it as a bonus. Can't be used for any pension plans. They've been very specific on that. So initially I got together with Kevin Woodbury, and we looked at the broadband internet to see if that fit. And it doesn't, because Raymond's internet already exceeds the level of the internet speed and connections that the grant allowed. So we really can't do that. So our recommendation is, and the committee right now is Joe Crocker from Rec, Nate White, and myself. We're going to head the facilities team. And we're looking at going in the direction of upgrading the town's recreational facilities under the area of travel and tourism, because the grant is very specific that travel and tourism was one of the affected areas. And with the emphasis on the water and sewer needs. You know, Raymond doesn't have a sewer system. We do have some public water, but it's very narrow where we do have it. And that $500,000, if we wanted to expand our water lines, would be eaten up fairly quickly. So looking at that, I've met with Nate and Joe a couple of times, and we're looking at some priorities that fit into the ARPA plan. Nothing's written in stone yet. We want your approval to go forward. Number one priority is the current snack shack at Tasseltop is failing. We're proposing to build a new facility which would include a snack shack area. In the front of the building would be the snack shack, have a covered eating area with 4 picnic tables with bathrooms and changing rooms on the back. This would include putting in a septic field, a new septic field, and it would need a grease trap because it has a commercial kitchen, and it would probably have to be pumped up. Facility, we would air condition it with heat pumps. So that would be the first plan. So we have $500,000. Looking in that number one priority also, would look at upgrades to property signage for Tasseltop and promotion of tourism. Now I'm going to take a step back and say we looked at all the facilities that Raymond has. We looked at Crescent Beach, we looked at the Raymond Beach, we looked at Mill Street thing, and we're trying to see where tourism fits best and where the septic and water sewers fits into it. And we really thought that Tasseltop kind of fit that bill. The second priority would be to build a second large septic field in the upper area where the parking lot is in that part of Tasseltop to serve the future 3 proposed rental cabins, and a planned covered pavilion that would have a couple of bathrooms in it. The pavilion could be used to support classroom use, schools, rec programs coming into it, farmers markets, movie nights, wedding and facilities rentals, those type of things that Joe is working on for that. Final determination, you know, we'd take it as far as the projects went. I can tell you, in working with Nate, priority number one is going to take probably just over $200,000. With this, the grant monies can be used for the construction costs, our engineering fees, all our permits, administration time, advertising, all of that. So all of the costs with this project could be tied into the ARPA funds. If we look at the 3 new rental cabins, Joe is proposing that we add 3 more rentals. The 2 that he has now rent very quickly. That would be extra income to the town and extra income into Tasseltop. He talked about just trying to put 1 bathroom, a central bathroom in that all 3 cabins use. And we kind of said, no,
I wouldn't rent that.
I wouldn't either, Joe. I agree with you on that. If I'm going to rent a cabin, I want
Right.
my own bathroom.
Yeah.
But hopefully tie them into one larger septic system. Under his proposed master plans would be the 3 proposed rental cabins and a 2-bay garage to use as a maintenance building. The current maintenance building is right next to one of the rental cabins, and he really needs another bigger place. So, I did find out some good news though, is we're a non-entitlement community. Originally, they said the first reports were going to be due by August 31st of this year. But because we're a non-entitlement community, which means we serve less than 50,000 people, population, first report's going to be due 10/31/21 to the Treasury for the state of Maine. And then we'll have to do quarterly project and expenditure reports. The reports are going to need copies of any contracts of over $50,000, which septic systems and that are going to be. The types of projects, all of our financial data, all of that have to go from there. So from here, if you guys agree, I mean, I do need the first report by 10/31/21, which is only 3 months from now. I think we look at the septic pit testing, the design of the septic field, where it's going to go, and plans for the bathroom and snack shack. Get those ready, so then if once we approve this, we can put those out to bid. Or go in a totally different direction, it's up to you guys, but the premium pay is in there, which I think should be a big not a big portion, but a portion of this, or maybe use the Cumberland County monies for that. But those are the 2 areas that I'm recommending.
Have you looked at the road load?
The road load?
Yeah, are we gonna have to do anything with the drive and that? Because now, everything you're talking about here is gonna increase use there. And that's not a real big road right now. So what are we gonna have to do on that side? And is that allowable under this?
No. I don't believe it is, Joe.
The
Sorry,
road,
Rolf.
even though it's infrastructure?
It says, well, they're very careful on the infrastructure. It says if you had planned projects that were delayed for the pandemic, because usually grants won't give you money for infrastructure in general, FEMA grants and those.
Done.
The
But we
other
can look
thing
at
I
that.
wanted to comment on, Rolf had written solar on his paper there, but what happened was, those folks who've been on the board for a while will remember we put together a huge package of sustainability projects. Those are all off the table. Those were not included in the American Rescue Plan at all. You know, we looked at solar projects, we looked at, various energy envelope projects. Those are all gone. So,
The only infrastructure they're saying is water speed and
Right.
water sewage and high speed.
and my
internet.
personal favorite, of course, is the broadband, internet, and I will have an update on that, but later. But anyway, so that's all gone too in a substantive way. But so you remember, you probably saw the packet that we put a great deal of effort into earlier in the spring, under the direction of the state and GPCOG, and that's all gone.
Yep.
So that was disappointing. And anyway, I wanted to comment on that piece. And as far as the premium pay, that's just public safety and public works from this funding.
Yes.
So,
Because they were the only essential employees?
Yes.
Is that what?
well.
As
under
defined by
that-
the federal government, yeah.
Yes. So the property, as I don't know if you guys all know, Tasseltop is owned by the state, and they lease it to Raymond. Have we gotten permission to do this kind of
That's
stuff?
what Joe is looking at right now.
Okay.
So he's put a request in for them,
And,
for
and
the
it's,
state of Maine Parks and Rec.
and it's 100 years.
The
Well,
lease
but it
100
is,
years.
but one
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
just
things.
saying, it's a 100-year lease.
Yeah,
in
and one of
four-
the
in
things,
four
we
increments.
met with them, Doug Beck and them, several of us did, and they want to see the land used. They want to see it, they said it's very underutilized. And that's when we were talking about putting that playground down there and stuff like that. So, and I know he's got something on that, and I also know that the Department of Inland and Fisheries or whatever has big grants too, that they'll do, like some matching grants too, that we can do. So as long as they have permission, I don't have a
Right.
problem with that.
What I'd like to do, though, is even though it's 100 years, we've clicked off 25 already, so I'd like to not only get their permission, but, you know, get an extra 25 years tagged on there as well. You can't plan too early, right?
No, no. So, yeah, so, and I know Joe knows, he said the Doug back that does the guy that's,
Yeah.
yeah, does the
Yeah,
land.
Joe and I have talked about that, and I tasked him to
Okay,
go forward to Parks and Recs and see, get their permission. So he has sent some documents into
Yeah.
them.
okay.
And one
I
thing,
think
I'd also
it's
like to
good.
say, if you haven't been down there lately, you should go down and take a look at what's happened already. And you should also, I know that you've been getting the reports, and for the public, you know, under the new Recreation Department management and the work that the Public Works has done, and the help that we've gotten from Kathy as, you know, project manager on some of the grants that we've already received, the place has been really transformed, and it was popular to begin with, and it's really, revenues are, you know, coming in
He told me that they're passing 2019's totals already.
right now.
And then he's extended the cabins, you know, early and late, and he's taken out some of the greenery down there and opened up more parking spots for people. He's made more beach space by taking away the picnic tables and moving them up. He's made a lot of money from down at Tasseltop. He's done good.
I mean, I think it's a good investment on our part.
I do. Because we're
But-
utilizing something we
But
didn't utilize.
I'm just worried about, you know, it's only $500,000 now.
Yes, it is.
Right, right, we gotta be very careful.
It's gonna go
It's a
fast.
$500,000. For most of us, that's a lot of money.
But not with the
But,
cost
right,
of things.
but once you start building stuff and
It sounds like a lot of money, you're absolutely right.
Right.
It's not a lot of money today, and so we gotta be very careful not to bite off more than we can chew with that amount of money, I agree.
Right.
So,
Nathan wants to say something.
I think that one of the important things that we gotta pay attention to is forward planning. And the biggest thing is the septic system. In my proposal to her and Joe was to pump, it's gonna have to be pumped from the lower parking lot up. And at that point, you should design the system to do the 2 or 3 cabins. So there'd be one system, it'd be in the parking lot. But that all has to be, there's a lot of moving pieces here.
And then once you start putting pumps to pump up,
that's
you'll be
expensive.
replacing them every 10 years.
Correct.
Right.
They get some maintenance here, because those are all commercial equipment, and
Right.
it's quite a system.
So that's something that should be budgeted in the Tasseltop
Yes, that,
budget.
into this.
Okay, all right, so,
Well, for 10 years down the road, no, we can't.
And
No,
And
but
it's-
you,
but we
you
go
would,
to
but it would go in, the
$2,026.
CIP.
yes.
Correct.
And the other thing too that you need to know is that this is a proposal, it's subject to federal review and approval.
Right.
It may not pass,
Well, no, and that's fine.
yeah,
I mean, then we'll come up with something else, but,
right.
so, with the snack shack, the bathrooms, and the cabins, and everything else, does that all fit in that 500,000?
That's hard to say yet, Teresa.
Okay. Because the
You know,
prices
we
of
really
everything
need a
right now.
price on the septic system. Nate estimated 100,000 for the septic system, 30,000 for a well and all of that, 30,000 because we gotta bring some of the electrical stuff down. You know, so when you start adding all of
David's
that
just
stuff.
taking that money
you
off
know,
that pile
no.
there.
We'll run through 400,000.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
we're-
You know, the cabin would be about 80 square feet and $140 a foot for building costs. So we're starting to add up.
Okay,
Okay, because we're now dealing federal grant funds, are we under, it's not Robbins Patman, it's Davis-Bacon rules?
Say that again, Ralph?
Are we
Davis
under
Bacon.
Davis Bacon rule?
I would assume so. If we get into this, you're gonna fall into Davis Bacon's rules.
Which makes it even more expensive.
Correct.
Yeah.
What is Davis Bacon?
I haven't heard a thing about that.
It hasn't mentioned
hasn't
it
come
at
up
all
under
in the
anything.
opera
Yeah, but
stuff.
it's federal money, and that's usually in their boilerplate
Some of the
someplace.
stuff that, with the federal money that I found that if the
It's giving
town
them jobs.
offset to do the like kind work, so if we brought our crew in to do the construction work, we could, I wouldn't wanna call it skirt around that, there's a workaround on that.
Oh, yeah, we ought to check, just make sure, because
It's a good- it's a good-
that can come back and bite you quick.
Yeah, it's a good question, an excellent question, but there hasn't been a mention of it
Hasn't
yet.
been mentioned in it at all. But what they haven't done is they haven't given us the forms yet either.
Right.
All they've said is you've got a report due on this date, it will contain this information.
And this is being treated, so far this is being treated as like a grant award.
A grant award.
Different than some of their federally administered programs. So I
Right.
don't know. We should ask the question for sure, but.
But it doesn't sound like when you read it, it's a competition. So it's like Raymond will get $500,000.
Right.
But we've got to make sure that we spend it according to the grant rules, and then just justify it after.
Right, but it doesn't sound like it's like their transportation projects and some of the other things that are Davis Bacon, but we'll check that for sure.
We literally just got it for the daycares. The same thing, and I'm surprised to see that. And so they're doing it, it hasn't come out yet, it won't come out till like September, they said, but they're doing the same kind of thing, and they're also doing the same kind of, like certain regulations, like you can do the pay increases if you wanna, build up your structure more, but
Yep.
it's the same thing, showing everything.
Yeah, this, the American Rescue Plan, what we're getting is only a very small portion. They dishing it out for all different
Oh, yeah.
types of things.
So,
Okay.
So direction to go in, or are you guys comfortable with this
I
so
mean,
far?
I'm comfortable with Tasseltop and looking
Yeah.
at it. As far as the premium pay, I would recommend a one-time bonus and not a
That's what we're
bump in
proposing.
hourly pay.
That's what we're proposing.
Yeah.
Yeah, one-time bonus. And we're gonna look at the model that other towns are following. We're not gonna reinvent the wheel on this,
And the chief and I looked at the premium pay, and we, I don't think it's been submitted yet to Donna, to Alex, 4 different levels. Those that, and I'm talking about fire rescue only at this point. Those that did something, those that, went above and beyond, but 4 different levels, so it's not, everybody just gets the same.
It should be based on how many hours you
Hours
actually
you work,
work.
yeah.
Absolutely.
That's how we, in my company, that's how we
And that's
do it.
how we're looking at it.
Ours as well.
So we've done that, but we haven't put any amounts, that's not what we're going to do.
Right.
And then we'll work with Cumberland County. From what I've been told, they're just saying be patient at this point, because they don't know everything. But we do know 770,000 for I think the 13 towns, so I think if
yeah,
we-
that's just their intergovernmental pool. They got millions, like
Right, but that's
57
what they're
million or
doing to
something.
the towns for use, and that will be more of a competition.
But
So
that's
I
only
would
for
say-
small towns, is that correct?
Correct. South Portland and Bridgeton already get their portion.
Right.
So I would propose that we look at a project that's gonna be 50 to 75,000 to put in for that, and hopefully be successful with we'll get something from them. But
Right.
all right, I say we, go with the tassel top and the pay. Good, thank you. All right, let's see, road names.
Road names.
Kayla's not
Hopefully Sue's got that.
here. Yep. There's 2. There's Knot 9 Road and Macy Drive.
Which one?
Macy Drive, they put not 9 twice.
They put not 9 twice, I'm going, okay. That's why I wondered why it was on there twice.
Oh.
Now I know.
I move, accept Not 9 Road.
Second.
All in favor? Okay,
Move we accept Macy Drive.
Where is Macy Drive?
It's off Pipeline Drive.
Oh, okay.
can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, good. All right, consideration of awarding Boston Post cane.
Unfortunately, we lost our previous Boston Post cane recipient, Tess Ingraham. She passed toward the end of June, if I remember correctly. And in looking at the voter list, we have one individual that is still living, that Kathy Goslin has met with multiple times. Dawn has met with her and her wife, or her and her husband, rather, and it's Ethel Lawrence.
Yeah, right.
So I put her name forward as for consideration for the Boston Post cane.
All right.
Make a motion to award the Boston Post cane to Ethel Lawrence.
Second.
Now read it.
Yep.
And
Okay,
I
proclamation.
know her birthday, there's a proclamation.
Yes.
I know her birthday was sometime this month, where she turns
July
turns
13th,
100.
she
Was it
turned 100.
13th?
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Happy birthday. Because just this
Wow.
week, last week. All right, proclamation, be it known that as of this date, July 20th, 2021, Ethel P. Lawrence is the holder of the Town of Raymond's Boston Post cane. In 1909, the Boston Post cane was donated by the Boston, Massachusetts newspaper, the Boston Post, to any New England town that qualified for and requested a cane to be held by the town's oldest citizen. Originally, there were 431 canes throughout New England. The cane is African ebony with a 14-karat gold head, inscribed thus, presented by the Boston Post to the oldest citizen of Raymond, Maine, to be transmitted. The original cane is displayed at the Raymond Town Office.
And I'll get Public Works to take the cane out for us.
Okay.
That will be presented to her ceremonially. She'll be able to hold it and take pictures. Sue Carr made some really neat pins that say Boston Post cane on them, that have a little miniature cane on them.
Oh, thank you.
And that we give them that and give them the certificate. And I believe Kathy Goslin and Dawn are going to do that because
Okay, thank you.
they're familiar with her, but neither she or her husband are really ambulatory enough to attend a meeting like this.
100, wow.
Mhm.
Is she-
Move in second, we didn't vote it.
Okay, all in favor? All right, thank you for that. Okay, public comment. I think I covered everything. Yes? Hi.
Hi, Mike Richmond, 15 Cedar Lane. I'm not exactly sure what the public comment entails. We're new to town, so I have kind of a newbie question regarding short-term rentals. And I guess my question on behalf of a large group of neighbors is, does anybody, or can anybody explain sort of the status of the discussion of short-term rentals in Raymond?
I don't even think there is there?
I don't think we have an
No.
ordinance
We don't have an ordinance
Yeah.
at this time. There has been some
discussion.
in-office discussion,
Right,
but
we've heard of it.
at this point, there hasn't been any kind of, as far as I know, formal board discussion.
Okay. And I've spoken to Alex about this and somewhat aware of what would the process be?
To
To
request, you could request an agenda item to present that before the Board of Selectmen.
To have an ordinance in favor of it or against it, or
To regulate it.
to regulate it?
To limit
Okay.
Correct.
it, yeah. South Portland has one.
Yeah, it's,
I remember.
it's something that's, you know,
Short-term
an issue
rentals.
in resort communities throughout Maine, and it's increasingly becoming an issue in those communities. And, you know, I have a number of colleagues who have faced that issue, and so I'm somewhat familiar with it. And, you know, I have discussed it within the office, and, you know, gotten some feedback from staff members. So it's not totally unfamiliar to me, but I have not received any concerns from any residents till now.
He was just bringing me up as to what exactly that is. Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of investment people now who are buying houses and just renting them out.
It's going to hit hard.
Yeah, in this
And-
area, yeah.
And you'll be behind the eight ball like a lot of other communities, like where I came from. So, thank you. Process would be to,
Would
Send me an email.
you like to come to our
Daughter.
August meeting and
I would love to if that's okay.
Okay.
Sue, put it on August 10th meeting, please?
Yeah, you should send
And then we
an
can-
email or,
Just
you know,
a request,
a request, yeah.
a written request.
And then what happens is, it does have to go through a process. It'll go to our planning board, and it'll get voted, if it gets done, everything by June town meeting. Great,
Excellent.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else public comment?
Why not?
You're not
I'm
gonna
here.
go for 4 and agree with Joe, are you?
Yeah, come on, Peter.
So much for dinner.
No, just a point of information, because there was some discussion on the board about the comprehensive plan and information and the like. And if you didn't have an opportunity to look at it in your e-packet, there's a very comprehensive review of the 2003 plan, including demographics and maps and all sorts of good things there. So it just might be a good place for reference, but I
Good.
found it very enlightening.
Yeah,
Okay, thank
Good.
you.
thanks. Good idea.
All right, no more public comment? Okay, selectmen comment. Nope. Okay, nothing. Town managers report.
Okay, I guess I'll start with confirming the dates for the next upcoming regular meetings. We have August 10th and September 14th. Is that going to be good for folks?
And
July
June-
30th.
July 30th.
July 30th, yes, July 30th is.
Oh, right, that's right, I don't
Yeah,
have that one
that's
on
when
here.
we
The
threw
special,
in.
we have a special meeting, that's right.
August 10th, I'm
Or
unavailable.
emergency meeting, rather.
You're unavailable?
Yeah. Out of town.
All right, do you want to move that?
What?
August 10th, Sammy's not available.
No motion required.
So, and I have,
No, I said, do you want to move it? Sam,
No.
yeah, not motion.
He wants to move the meeting.
Oh, okay. Which
Not
one?
move the motion.
Once-
August 10th.
To what
Move it to
date?
where?
Ugh. Can we?
The 17th, possibly.
That doesn't work.
All right, Joe's not on that 17th. Is there any other?
I mean, I feel bad because we just told the gentleman to come
know.
August 10th, and
Yeah.
then now we're talking about moving it.
oh, we can inform him when he writes to
Mhm.
me and Sue, or
Yeah.
whoever he writes to, yeah.
I mean, the 24th can work for me.
We're also running under, I know, a timeline as far as the liquor license goes too, that might
Oh,
be
right.
expiring.
That's the other thing, is
Yeah.
you got Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what other date?
We got either the 17th or the,
Or the 3rd,
The 3rd can work.
but that's like 2 days after you meet on the 30th.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you do the 11th?
How about the 11th?
The 11th?
Oh, you're out that whole
You're
week.
you're gone the whole
Can't
week.
do-
I'm gone that whole week.
no, I can't do Wednesdays.
Look at the look.
I can't do Wednesdays.
Okay, can't do Wednesdays. All right. Oh, all right.
Are you gonna be here, Lonnie? I just wondering on that, make sure we have a quorum
For which?
for the 10th.
I
If
can
we-
do the 10th or the 17th, or, you know.
The 24th is too far out, especially when we get it, do that.
Yeah.
We told them for the liquor license. We can keep the 10th. And Sam can zoom in or call us. Or... No, let's not do the 10th.
You gonna be okay
No, it's not.
missing the 10th?
My plane lands on the 10th. I may be able to get here, actually.
Well,
Lonnie
But
will
I
pick you
just-
up on the way, or Nathan will pick you up on the way. He lives at the
well,
airport.
yeah, but is he gonna be here
Well,
next week?
I'll
The
try.
17th?
Kathy will have her flashing
kidding.
lights on and you
Yeah.
can just lie down on the stretcher in the back.
That'll be easzy for you to play
Can't
dead.
do it. Joe.
Oh, sorry,
You
buddy.
can't do the 17th.
You won't be playing.
I'm sorry, nice. I like
My
your attitude.
granddaughter's up for the week.
Oh, no, yeah.
So what stopped us from doing it on the 11th?
Wednesday.
Rolf can't
I
do
can't
it.
do Wednesdays.
What about that Monday? The 9th?
Well, if
Oh, you're out that whole
Sam,
week.
Sam
Yeah,
says he
what do
may
you-
be able to make it.
I think my plane lands about 4 o'clock on,
It's only a half hour.
it takes me forever.
Oh,
to
yeah,
hitchhike
that's right.
here,
The
know.
way you drive, an
Yeah.
hour and a half, but,
Yeah.
you know, you're still here by 6:30.
I could be, yeah, I might be a little late.
I say you leave it at 10.
All right, leave it to 10th. All right, go ahead. Sorry, all that.
So leaving it the 10th?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
The-
All right.
September 1?
September is the.
September what?
14th.
14th?
14th.
Okay, so we got the 30th,
September
the 10th, and the 14th. The 30th of July, the 14th of August, and September 14th, is that it?
Mhm.
Okay.
14th is.
Okay, so I have, good with that?
Yep.
Okay, so a couple of updates. I'll do the broadband one. So we had our first town manager meeting that we've had since the in-person one, since the onset of the pandemic. And so I took that opportunity to speak with the county manager, the managers of Wyndham and Standish and Gray. And we have a whole bunch of new town managers actually at our meeting, so about half the town managers were new actually. And so I said, let's start to monitor this, because we do have this expectation, hope and expectation that we're going to see federal, state, and some county monies. They've got some significant monies. And so everybody agreed that let's get positioned in the event that we can get some funding together for something substantive with respect to the broadband trunk lines. That's really, half the battle, getting the lines on the major roadways. The 3-ring binder, of course, was the major project of its time. Unfortunately, it was on the wrong side of the lake for us. It's on the back side of the lake, and it's in Standish, and we've got to get it over on our side onto 302. And so if we get it up 302, get it up 85, that's a big thing. And so that's the goal. And then there's talk about maybe we should reach out again to the private sector, talk to the various providers and see if there's some way to, using some of the public monies to leverage private sector investment, particularly for the last mile investment. It's an immense problem. I mean, the cost is extremely high, and as Kathy pointed out, I mean, we already, quote unquote, have, by some measures, good internet. I guess it's good internet. Maybe if you live in, I don't know where, but it's certainly not high-speed internet. It's certainly not broadband internet. And so we're talking about it at least, and everybody seems, interested in trying to at least position ourselves. So I did that much since the last time we talked, and everybody's on board. But as I said, it's just a very difficult problem, and it's not one that's going to be solved even with all deliberate municipal speed. This is going to take real money, and it's going to come from the federal government if it's going to happen at a public sector level.
So when you talk broadband, are you also talking cell service or just internet?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, maybe we should have at some point a dissertation by Kevin Woodbury here to tell us about I think those things actually meld. They come together. I mean, the internet, those technologies are one in my mind these days.
They're not.
I think, but that's a Kevin Woodbury question.
Yeah, I mean, my internet speed is fine at my house, but I have zero.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. And trying to talk to you, yeah. But I mean, when you say your internet's fine, it really isn't when you've seen, 100 times fine.
Well, I mean, we get 400 megabytes per second.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's quick for what I use it for.
Yeah.
Just a comment that
Sorry.
Give him a microphone.
Estimates are about 10% per year with what's coming online. So it's not really looking now, but it's looking at 10 years down the road as far as the new devices, the new demands and requirements for broadband that are going to be available. We may be, not, podunk USA right now to meet the Fed's definition of slow, but the bottom line is, if you think of it, 10% per year. In 10 years, we will need 100% more broadband than we have now.
And then there's the other issue, but that's a good point. The other issue is you got download and upload. What's the upload? It's not very good.
No.
And that's the problem the town has is, the upload problem.
Absolutely.
So anyway, other update I have for you is the Main Street sidewalk. So finally, we've gotten the MDOT notice to proceed bid. That's great news, except look at the bidding environment for for asphalt. So Owens and Nathan have looked at that, and they're saying one problem is that asphalt's 30-80%, coming in 30-80% over bid estimates right now. Second problem is we're already into the bid season. So the project that is the forever project, I guess, they're saying bad idea to bid it right now because the bids are going to come in high. it's too late in the season. Contractors have the projects lined up they're gonna do. They're saying, let's bid it in the fall with a 22 spring start date. And I think he said something about 36 months to complete. I'm saying that's what we do. You know, so the sidewalk project is gonna, you know, push off till the spring.
Have you notified the people on Main Street?
We're doing that.
Did you
I
just
think we
have-
should send out something, yes.
Yeah.
Well, so far, what we've done is just to post it and to publish it and to announce it through social media, but I think to send out a notice would be a good idea as well. Yes, we'll do that.
Good,
And that's what I have.
all right.
But, yeah.
So that is it. I need a motion to go in executive session, please, on the consideration of town manager's annual review.
Move to go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 405, Section 6A.
All in favor? Okay. And a motion to come out of executive session, please?
Move to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor? All right.
I'll make a motion to increase the town manager's salary to $115,000, extend the contract to a 4-year contract with a 3% escalation in the outgoing years.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
There we go.
Meeting adjourned.
Yep, good.
Meeting is adjourned.